Yoshihito, or Hao Ren, is a 23-year-old young man whose only dream for now is to somehow graduate from university. Ren is living an extremely common life and is struggling financially due to not being able to get a job that pays well. After not being able to make ends meet recently, Ren had decided to rent some rooms for his property as he had no family or girlfriend. He is sleeping on a bench outside in the evening when a girl named Lily wakes him up for asking for directions. Lily was looking for the way to the house Ren had listed without knowing that the landlord is in front of her. Ren introduces himself and decides to take Lily back to his place while realizing just how easily trusting Lily is when she didn't even ask a single question. The guy is showing Lily the neighborhood as the two are walking at night when Lily suddenly tells him to go away. While Ren was still confused, Lily suddenly transforms into a werewolf with white hair and a fight breaks out between her and a vampire. Lily somehow manages to fend off the vampire, but since her landlord had seen this form, she assumes that he would not want her around and just starts walking away. Since Hao Ren is different from other guys, he instead reassures her that she can stay without any problems, and the two head to the house where they rest for the night after having an exhausting day. Ren is woken up the next morning after Lily gets scared of his cat, and before they could think about what to do in the morning, the same vampire girl visits the house. The girl's name was Vivian Ansetta, and she mistook Lily for bullying Ren. Ren breaks the altercation between the girls and after some explanation accepts Vivian from the blood sect as his tenant as well. Vivian wanted to seal the contract by paying her rent up front, but she's revealed to be an airhead when it turns out that she lost the rent money. After not having the rent money, Vivian starts begging Ren to let her stay as this is the only place she could afford, and the guy generously accepts her as well after remarking how she will have to cook for the house instead. The morning chaos continues when just after settling the tenant contract, Ren receives a random call from a woman shouting at him to come for a job interview. Ren is told to arrive as soon as possible, and as he lives in the suburbs, the guy takes the first bus he could find to head over to the location. After a decently long journey, Ren arrives at the place only to find out that there is no company anywhere on the horizon there. The guy is assuming that he got fooled by mistake when on a second call, he's told to look straight up. Ren is left shocked when he finds a futuristic facility upside down in the sky and is pulled in towards the building's portal. After arriving at the facility, the guy is brought over to a woman named Raven, and she tells Ren to have a seat while she enjoys her noodles and explains what is going on. Raven remarks that Ren is chosen by an organization called Space for taking care of outcasts and that he had already passed the basic test when he let the two outcast girls stay over as his tenants. Raven is rather impressed with Ren's behavior with outcasts, and she gives him a choice about whether he wants to continue or not. As Ren was already unemployed and would have to undergo a procedure of memory removal if he declines, he accepts the offer, and Raven passes a pen over to him with a smirk on her face. The guy signs after reading the contract handed over to him, and as his first job, he is assigned to take care of the girls, who are two of many upcoming outcasts for now. The guy reaches back home, and Vivian gets rather suspicious when he explains the whole story. After getting exhausted from all that running around, Ren is trying to chill for a while, when he suddenly gets teleported to a different world. The guy assumes that this could be a dream, but quickly realizes that this is not the case when he feels actual pain. He's trying to figure out what is going on when some wolves attack him, and before he could have been eaten, Lily wakes him up back at his place. Ren still had the fur of the wolves on his hands, so he decided to ask the girls for their help. Vivian remarks that Raven could be part of Demon Hunter's organization, who are after outcasts, so Ren should keep his guard up. Lily is not really bothered to think too much, but Vivian decides to first share some items and later cast a blood magic spell on Ren for his safety. Vivian is rather surprised when neither her spells nor her vampire items work on Ren, and before they could go any further, Ren receives another call from Raven for a task on short notice. Ren heads over to the facility right away, and he is looking around at the architecture when Raven greets him with a sword in her gardener outfit. The conversation moves back to her office, and she reveals how Ren was called to be assigned some gear that will help in situations where he might be facing death sometimes. Ren is rather concerned about the severity, but Raven tells him to calm down as she can just swap his body out even if he ends up dying. The boss assigns Ren's digital terminal to him and takes him to the enhancement room where he is asked to enter a coffin for him to gain his powers. Ren is hesitating, but Raven just kicks him in, noticing the coffin acting differently than it usually does. Ren opens his eyes to the same different world from earlier, and the terminal greets him before revealing how this is a dream dimension. Ren walks around the area while gathering some info about his powers, when he is yet again surrounded by the same wolves from earlier. Ren had gained his first power, Defensive Barrier, and just when the wolves are about to bite his arm, the power activates to fend them off. The wolves had howled to the signal for their leader, and just when Ren is trying to find an exit, the giant wolf leader catches up to him. Ren tries to reason with the wolf, but it just jumps on him, breaking its fangs while trying to bite through the barrier. The wolf knew how to talk, so it started a conversation with Ren about the shortage of food, and Ren somehow convinced the wolf to take him towards a human settlement that might be nearby. The wolf drops Ren off after remarking how Ren owes it a favor, and the guy heads inside the shelter to find a scrap of metal with something written on top. Before Ren could really do anything else, Raven's voice makes him return to the real world when he starts complaining about how he wanted a cool power and not just some barrier. Raven mocks him a little and remarks that his powers will come with time while the two are walking to the front door. Just when Ren is about to leave, Raven tells him about his new mission to Europe, specifically England, in the search of his new outcast tenant. As Ren leaves not really wanting to take the girls with him, Raven is revealed to be concerned about the fur Ren got after his first visit to the dream dimension. Ren reluctantly agrees to take the girls with him, and while they are arguing on the plane as well, we get to see how somewhere else a man with glasses is preparing his weapons for some ulterior motives. The trio manages to reach Europe somehow, and they now start looking for the hotel Raven had booked for them. The crew had to walk a lot due to their tight budget, and after struggling for quite a while, the three managed to reach the hotel with the help of Lily. The three were supposed to search for the outcast at a place called Yorkford, and having no knowledge of English, Ren consults Raven to help him out. Raven remembers that she forgot to update Terminal's firmware, and after the language problem is solved, for now, the trio proceeds to head over to the dining hall to deal with their hunger first. Vivian sends her navigation summons to look around the hotel, and while they are eating, the group is joined by the same man from earlier, who introduces himself, Nangong Samba. Ren asks Samba about the way to Yorkford, and he reveals how that place has nothing but the ruins of an old castle. The night arrives, and Vivian remarks how she suspects the presence of a demon hunter in the hotel. While the conversation was still going, Samba, from the next balcony, remarks how he is also a demon hunter, and even though Vivian takes it as a joke initially, Samba proves it with a demon crest. Samba remarks how he is suspicious of the three as they are headed to Yorkford and wishes to follow along with them for their own safety. Vivian accepts his request, even though she did not trust him and was worried that the demon hunters might be after the tenant they are looking for. The group takes a train the next morning to head for the castle, and on their way they notice a wicked old man telling a haunted story about the same castle and the prize set for one dealing with it on a TV show. The pair ignore the old man for now, but when they reach the Angus Inn, they find the same old man as the innkeeper. The old man remarks how since there is a shortage of rooms in the building, the crew can only get 2 of them. Ren sends the girls ahead to rest, while he and Samba have a little conversation with the old man. Samba remarks that he is a demon hunter and is here to eliminate all the ghosts, and this information makes the old man quite intrigued. The old head's name is revealed to be Angus, and he takes the guys to a secret meeting where he tells a spooky story of Yorkford Castle. Angus's story included the death of a lot of soldiers, and that makes Ren quite scared even though Samba didn't really seem to care. Ren explains the same story to Vivian later on, and she remarks how there are logical loopholes in what Angus is saying, so they should not trust his word and instead do their own research. Ren heads back over to his room and goes to sleep after asking Samba some things about his sister. As midnight comes close, Angus is seen to be driving some exorcists staying at the inn towards the castle, and Samba finds it interesting enough to follow. The old man tells the exorcists some stories about how the church at the castle is especially dangerous, and the passengers get even more scared when Samba, who had snuck on top of the roof, started screaming. Back at the inn, Vivian wakes Ren up from his sweet sleep, telling him that it's time to go, and the group heads over to the castle as well after waking up Lily. Vivian was flying with Ren, while Lily, who was running in her sleep, ends up discovering a tunnel after she crashes into a mountain. Vivian remarks that this must be a shortcut to the castle, so the three take it to find out how quite a lot of exorcists have gathered at the castle to get the prize money by dealing with the ghosts. Our trio heads over to the church as it was the most suspicious part of the ruin and clears its way after Vivian scares the crap out of the other exorcists. Lily helps the group in getting in, and with some help from Terminal translating, the three come across a secret path that is possibly leading to the actual secret of this whole ghost castle. The trio begins to head inside the path, and as they walk forward, they start to realize how the secret path is actually a massive system of underground tunnels that were made by the king of this castle to protect something obviously precious. Lily starts running around after seeing such a vast structure yet again, and that leads all three of them to sit down and catch their breath later. Sanba was also on his own quest, and he manages to find a different secret path to these tunnels with the help of his ghost-smelling abilities. Ren's group starts moving once again. They start wondering whether they are even heading in the right direction, or are just running around in circles. The three hear some footsteps, which turn out to be innkeeper Angus's. Finding Angus down here starts making the whole ghost situation clear, and to get further intel, Vivian uses her magic to scare and get the info out of Angus. The suspicion Vivian had earlier turned out to be true, as Angus was basically using the whole ghost scheme to grow his hotel business. The three decided to move forward as they still needed to find the tenant they came here looking for. Vivian ends up touching some ancient writing on a wall that turns on the old-fashioned traps. The trio was pretty much screwed if it wasn't for Ren's barrier ability, but seeing these traps does not stop Lily from running around, as now she leads the three to fall into a deep hole. Lily was not the only one in the ruins who was low on IQ, as Sanba, even though was a demon hunter, gets in a hell of a lot of trouble when he activates all of the available traps as well. After their fall, the group was still uninjured, but for some reason, both Vivian and Lily start seeing their own treasures down in the pit. Ren, however, was unaffected, and he brings the girls back to their senses, telling them how all of this was just a hallucination. The three continue to walk forward, but not too long after the fall, they end up getting into another runic trap that sucks Vivian and Lily's powers. With both girls not being able to move and time ticking, Ren tries to hold the walls down with his arms, and somehow his stupid trick ends up working. The trouble was not over just yet, as now the three get attacked by ghost knights who were at the bottom of the ruins to protect an important treasure magic stone that should be at the end of the ruins. Vivian deduces that the magical stone they are protecting should be red and secured at a stable place, and to their luck, the stone was just above their heads. Vivian was just advising the other two to make sure that the stone is not harmed, but fate had other plans for them, as genius Sanba, who was just behind them, activates yet another trap, putting Ren's group in some serious trouble. Sanba joins the others, but his presence did not help all that much, as he had released a horde of enemy knights who completely surrounded Ren's group. Seeing that they are clearly outnumbered, Vivian comes up with a strategy and asks the other two to buy her some time so she can charge up her blood magic. Ren uses his barrier, and Lily uses some rocks to keep enemies at bay for just enough time that Vivian's spell completes. Vivian gets all cocky and shoots her noble blood magic, but instead of hitting the knights, it hits the stone that then leads to the release of a gigantic monster from the sky. The group is already in shock, but their shock increases even more when the demon heads straight to Ren and tries to take him away. The girls follow Ren, and Vivian takes the demon as an enemy, summoning a red moon for another big magic spell. The moon started to affect Lily for some reason, and before Vivian could start the fight, it turns out that the demon was the tenant they came to Europe for. The demon asks for the tenant contract, and after seeing Ren worry, decides to blow every single one of the knights left back at the ruins. Terminal confirms the completion of the mission, and upon Ren's request, the demon takes a human form as a muscular bald guy, introducing himself as Zax. Ren heads over straight to Raven after the completion of the mission, while the tenants are having a chaotic time again back at the house. Raven reveals that the original mission was to free Zax with the magical stone, since he had already landed in a different dimension a while back. Raven also mentions that Zax was betrayed and hurt back in his own world, before telling Ren to get along with him alongside the other girls. Ren reaches back home after a long discussion and finds listening to the usual chaos that the tenants had caused rather pleasing this time around. Vivian had decided to turn Ren's storage room into her own, and in the process, she shows a piece of metal with writings on it to Ren. Ren recalls it as his childhood toy, but starts worrying about the dream dimension wolf after seeing the writing on it. The two are trying to decipher the writing, but they end up being unable to come up with anything, as Ren now receives a call from the police, letting him know about how Zax has been restrained due to his scary looks. With Ren heading over to take care of one of the many problems upcoming, our recap for today comes to an end. Drop us a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. Also, let us know in the comments which show you want to see next, and we'll catch you later. Peace.